Hello, and a warm welcome to the next episode of the AI Edge podcast hosted by Leena AI. Today, I have with me Mr. Manash Saha, the CIO of Foxconn's EV and New Energy Division. Thank you so much for joining us today, Manash.
Thank you, Adit, for having me.
So, to get us started, Manash, can you talk to us a bit about what Foxconn does, especially your unit, and what's your role? Like, what does day to day look like for you?
Sure, absolutely. Again, thanks again for having me. It's a pleasure. So, as many of you might be knowing, that Foxconn, we are one of the largest contract manufacturer in the world. We are headquartered in Taipei, Taiwan, and we have been a contract manufacturer for different kind of products. So, the product that or the industry that I'm focused is EV and new energy business. It's pretty much the electric vehicles. We are tier one OEM, both in that space. We are also in battery manufacturing and solar panel EV chargers, those kind of things that we focus on. So my role is more of the IT enabler, if I may say that. I head the IT and be the CIO for our North America business, which includes few plants in the region of US and Mexico, and also some R&D facility in the US. So, and I've been with them, with Foxconn for the last 2.5 years almost, and where I am responsible to drive the whole digital transformation, be it AI, be it infrastructure, be it ERP, the whole gamut, the so holy grail that what we call in manufacturing, right? The cloud, ERP, MES, SCADA, PLCs, all together, that's what I'm responsible to drive from the business perspective.
That's amazing, Manish. I think it's a very exciting space as well. UAEs are just bursting at this point, so that's amazing. As a CIO, and you talked about AI. So, as a CIO, what are some of the things that you're doing in AI right now? Maybe in your core competency, which is like EVs and new energy division, or just in general productivity and efficiency in the enterprise. What are you doing today?
So let me set the stage here. So many of the customers we partner with for their manufacturing work, they're highly engaged in this space of AI, right? Which organically made us being proactive and drive those in our day-to-day operation, manufacturing, business collaboration, everything, customer collaboration, all those things, right? Excuse me. So we got into this journey pretty early. Because as you know that AI have a perception built out, right, among different people, especially who have not been involved enough in the space. So we started off building a culture of the awareness, right, with a direct sponsorship from our top leadership in the space, right? As we gone through that process, we started doing POCs, we started seeing demos, figuring out what we can build in-house, what we should not build. The learning curve was steady, and it's been over a few years that we have gone through, right? And then started putting in a case what we built, right? Because we didn't want to build something too complicated, but also not something too simple that does not have a business impact.
Agreed.
Right? So we wanted something that's a steady process and that's easy to convert into in an intelligent format, right, where we can automate the whole thing. So that was kind of the approach what we took. Another challenge was the data. As again, Foxconn, we are over 50 years old. We have a lot of legacy applications. We have lots of cloud, on-prem, a mix of everything in our premise. So getting the data together was another challenge. Right. And at the same time, where it's my business unit, North America was kind of a startup mode. Right. So we are just getting into the market. We are building it out. So we did not have enough data to synchronize that thing, the whole AI process. Right. And we all know without data, it doesn't work.
Yep.
Right. So it was quite an effort, but a very collaborative effort along with the business. So our business and IT team worked hand in hand under our leadership guidance to build this initial POCs and started incorporating in our environment, considering our limitations that, okay, we do not have too much of data, we have lots of legacy system, how we build it out. We partnered with different vendors. They were pretty eye-openers in the process, and that helped us in the whole process.
No, that's amazing, Manash. So you mentioned a very interesting point about build versus buy. Essentially, I think a lot of CIOs, CTOs listening to this conversation are also going through that, right? Uh, Now, generally, when I get asked that question, I typically say something that's going to be a core competency or a competitive advantage to you. You should try and build, probably, right? You can probably use different platforms, etc. Nobody's like you have to use different technologies or platforms or accelerators available 100%, but you got to build more of that. And then everything else, generally, you should like things are like more business productivity, efficiency, etc. You should just like not try and build yourself because it's not worth your time, right? Is that something that you also subscribe to? Or you definitely mentioned one thing about doing things that are easy versus complex, and business value adding, right? Like should be easy enough and business value adding enough for you to actually go do this. But is there any other components that you think of when making that build versus buy decision?
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. I have a little different angle and experience and how I incorporate this in our whole business, right? So first of all, our business kind, contract manufacturing, if you see, none of the vendors have a model for contract manufacturing, right? They have one for different, like discrete manufacturing, plastic manufacturing, food manufacturing. But contract manufacturing, we're kind of a unicorn kind of industry, right? So though there are multiple players. Now getting to the whole process, build and buy, right? So we did gone through that pretty rigidly, what we build and what we buy. And that's why our current environment is somewhat quite customized, right? But what I incorporate is if you see in the AI space, lots of companies, even like you guys, have the zeal and the technology and the skill set to build something really good, right? You have that, but if I have to do it in-house, there's a significant amount of investment it takes, right? But what you guys do not have is customer data, right? So where I found there's a whole collaboration that been done, where we collaborated with many of those like startup kind of vendors as a strategic partner, and can utilize them because they have the zeal, their skill set, the fire in the belly, if I may say that, and whole exposure to the gamut of different things that's happening.
Yeah, I agree.
And so we collaborated in those format with many, some established, some not so established vendors to get into a partnership, right? I mean, because they do not have the bureaucracy of the organization, they have not those like block ahead in the process, but they didn't have the data. So that collaboration was pretty organic. So we use those to incorporate certain things. As I said, some were like established one. We had customized and built certain products, which is okay, right? But our main ROI, if I may say that, got driven when those collaboration happened with where we collaborate with different kind of startups.
Yeah, no, very interesting perspective. So you're saying that choose startups because they have the zeal and they have also they're the zeal, the hunger, the fire in the belly, but they're also just updated with the market because that's what they do all day long, right? Like
exactly,
which is true.
That's specialized. They're like focused in it, but they I mean they move from ideation to a product.
Yeah,
but from there to see in action, you need data.
Yeah,
you need different customization, right? They're agile in the format because our key focus was we want to do it fast. It need not be right, but it can be repetitive, right? A constant feedback process with the data in the mix, the technology in the mix, right? And that was a lookout. Another thing what we pretty much focused on, and thanks for certain of my peers and colleagues, was incorporating a framework, right? Like we have a traditional TOGAF and all this framework for our enterprise model. We we not only tried, we incorporated a AI framework, how we will drive it, because that gave us the purpose of directly tying to the business value.
Right.
Right. So those all together, these are different parts and pieces, right?
Yeah.
That came together and helped us in the process a lot.
That makes a lot of sense, Manish. Can you give us a few examples just for the listeners here? A few examples that you're allowed to share, of course, on some POCs that you did that became successful, POCs that did not, like you did, and they did not become successful. Some understanding so that our listeners can learn on things that they can go and implement in their own organizations, and and if there are any pitfalls that they need to avoid when thinking of these Gen AI, agentic AI pilots.
Absolutely. So one thing I would say, which I was pretty proud of our achievement was, uh, as I said, our business was new in this market, right? We did not have enough data. But again, we are contract manufacturing, which kind of said that our life cycle starts when we get the BOM from our customer. Pretty much the bill of material, engineering bill of material, and the material bill of BOM and the EBOM, right? And we use our PLM system to get it right from the customer, and we transfer it to BOP, bill of process,
Yeah.
right? So we used Copilot to use the bill of process document to a training material, a video generator, because there's a structured data. It can be labeled, so we can use this, build a supervised training module out of it, which helped us to onboard the whole technicians at the plant level more efficiently.
Mm.
It increased the efficiency more than 60%, because they used to go with multiple days, if not weeks, of training before they hit the floor.
So you're saying that you took the bill of process and you made videos out of that?
Training videos,
Wow. Okay. Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
we used Copilot for it, right? We did not have, we did not have data. We did not need to worry about data, because that's a constant data that's coming, right? So we did not have to tear years. Like the whole training data is available to us.
Yeah.
Right. And the POC was very short-lived, because we can move it to production extremely fast. And it's a live stream of data we are getting continuously. I mean, we get hundreds of those ECN in a week. Right. So that was one of the most successful and proud moment, I'll say. And that kind of addressed multiple things, right? Our pressure from the board, our leadership, stakeholders, how we are incorporating it, keeping up with the market, exposure for our whole my whole colleagues and team and business units, how AI is working. And they're seeing it, that it's not that someone is losing a job.
Yeah.
It's just that you get trained, and there's a confirmation process. We kept some manual steps that, okay, the training material is built out, it's right? It's efficient, it's structured, how we want it to be, right? And it was a repetitive process. Like I was telling you earlier before the call, our focus was to do it fast.
Yeah.
And do it in a repetitive process in an agile format, so we can get corrected over a period of time.
That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah. So you basically using the existing, whatever is there is existing in your business, to create training materials very quickly. Of course, you have the right checks and balances in place, which are making sure that, okay, whether the training material created is actually useful or not.
Yep.
And then just moving it to production really quickly, and then constantly iterating, and that helped you save 60% of the training time. That's
The
yeah,
onboarding time. Yeah, not
yeah, that's like a lot of value, because in a business like contract manufacturing or manufacturing, scale ups and scale downs are the
absolutely.
are the most key areas. So that's amazing, right?
And that's directly impact the cost, right? Because a technician, the labor cost is going up at every place in the world, right?
Yep.
So we were able to successfully use that money more on the productive side than just training.
Just training. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Any other? So this is a successful one. Now,
Yeah.
all of us, even at Leena, we've done many POCs that have not worked. So, are there any that haven't, and what are your learnings from those POCs?
I think initially, like I was telling you, it sounded pretty easy that, okay, we put a structure and all these things, right? We took lots of steps that was not correct, All
Yeah.
right. We got into like a lot of a complex process that we want to use AI, and we failed. We failed. Uh, Another thing, what we also found the initial level is that, and don't get me wrong, I do not want to discourage anyone. Many of the AI tools that we see in the market, which is this is my take, right? And you can shoot me down. Is more of a glorified RPA,
Mm.
right? So do we need it? We already have RPA,
Yeah.
right? We selected certain things or tried moving forward with it, and found it immediately it's not work, right? We faced certain problem that we wanted to do. We did a POC on the finance side with
Hmm.
AI and saw some gap in the reporting or what we the expected result and the outcome was, right? So those were a few of the failed that we found and lesson learned, right? And also a few times we found pushback from certain business units, right? I told you about the perception, so the mindset. It's not that out of the gate we started investing, right? We learned it hard way that okay, there is apprehension.
Yeah.
If I put an AI tool, will it work, right? We included AI ops for our network monitoring of our plants,
Hmm.
right? When we're doing it, there's a monitoring team. Their IT team, they're very much aware of certain capabilities. There was apprehension there too. So there is I think this initiative is similar like a transformation. It's a transformation, right? So you need a human angle, which is extremely critical. Beside the technology angle, the framework, initial investments are pretty big as well.
Yep.
And then the whole process of continuously doing, because it's one key difference in this journey is that it's not done one and we are good to go, right? It's a continuous. If your data messes up at any point of time, your whole thing falls apart, right? So those learning we had in the process as we incorporated it.
Got it. That's super insightful, super helpful, Manish. So the use cases were like in finance procurement were the ones that you were trying to do, like automating PO processes, etc. Is that what you were trying to do?
No, we are more on consolidation side, consolidation and forecasting. We did some forecasting later, uh,
Okay.
successfully, but yeah, I think we complicated. We were expecting all the steps and the will be done by the agent, right? And then we tried extending a single agent,
Right.
right? And we did not focus enough that it's an agency that need to be built up for the agents to work together.
Yeah, you got to do a multi-agent because it's a yeah, forecasting is a complex endeavor. Yeah, that
Yep.
makes sense. You mentioned about the AI governance that you had put in place, right? Like the committee, I guess, that you had put in place. Now, in that committee that you had put in place, you said that you had created some challenges. Initially when you had built that committee or that governance process. Can you talk more about those? Like, I'm very sure a lot of the listeners on this podcast, the CIOs and CTOs, they are probably going through these challenges because of customers like we've worked with, or I'm currently engaged with, our teams are currently engaged with. you know Sometimes those processes or those governance meetings are not fruitful at all because there are too many people, too many different priorities. They're struggling through those governance and those AI committees as well. So what were your learnings here, and how did you solve those challenges that you faced initially?
So initially, and you're right. Let me acknowledge the question because it was really good question. We did face challenges, and we took punch on our faces, right? Our initial committees were more at a business unit level,
Hmm.
and it was not significantly enough enforced by the leadership, the top leadership,
Got it.
right? So obviously, initial few steps in the process, we understand it's just becoming a debate session, right? And
Yeah.
it's like a mock parliament, if I may say that. That's what was going on, and it's just ideas, apprehensions, perspectives, prejudice, all the kind of human emotion were in the mix, and it was not taking us anywhere, right? and that was reported by all of us to our leadership.
Right.
And then there was immediate intervention, not only intervention, even involvement from the leadership team. They were pretty much hands down, got into it on a regular basis, to from ideation to whole execution, right? And that helped us a lot. It put a
Mm.
structure around it. We engaged the OCM team as well in the mix, the
Yeah. OCM, what did you?
organized change management team,
Oh,
the
okay.
HR side, from the to take care of the human aspects, and that communication need to happen more seamlessly,
Right.
right? It was a top-down push, so it became like a top-down push that helps in adaptability in the whole process. I'll say, right? We did lots of sessions, right, for people to understand what it is, right? Everyone have their own take, including me. I was no exception, right? We all had our own take, how it is, what it is, and but that whole it became a journey by itself. But
Yeah.
the high top level executive involvement was the key driver that made it successful,
Yeah.
right? It was not bottom up; it was top down. How it started, the governance structure.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what I've been hearing, Manish, from our friends overall in the CIO org and the CTO and the CEO orgs as well. There's probably just too many people, too many heads in the room right now, and I think this specific piece of nugget from your experience, I think will be super helpful for everybody. That hey, go back, like let the leaders come back down and set the pace on what is the priority and what needs to be worked on and not. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then you also mentioned engaging with change management teams early on. I think that's also key because a lot of people are afraid. You said your own team when you employed AI ops, your own team was a little worried. I think that's very common. So getting change management teams involved as soon as you can is probably the right way to think about this because there is a lot of change, and it's not just a system or a process level change. We're also talking about upskilling, cross-selling people who probably now have let's say few hours because of the AI impact, right? So you've got to upsell. So there's another new aspect to it. But yeah, that's we're gonna talk about that. That's another complete podcast, I guess, for us. But coming back to Foxconn, you guys are, as you said, 50 plus years old. Many enterprise applications like on-prem, private cloud. I think it's going to be a very complex IT ecosystem. How are you thinking of utilizing AI to get efficiencies and productivity on the IT side of the house?
So okay, your question is towards the IT side or the whole business?
Hey, the whole
Okay.
business also,
So,
like
so,
efficiencies. Yeah.
mhm. So one thing that what I enforced and we followed to the T's was the understanding that we have a business, right? And that's why we have IT. I do not want to implement a technology if the business does not see a value to it,
Right.
right? So we never discussed AI, or we still don't, right? We discuss business challenges,
Problems. Yeah.
right? Say, okay, supply chain is an issue, right? How do I track or have more predictability or understanding at a more real-time level or close to real-time level when I'm going to receive certain materials, right? Is the Suez Canal blocked again, or there is some other global disruption causing my freight or my ships to arrive late,
Yeah.
right? Right. So, or my supplier is sending too many stuff upfront than what I have ordered, just because there is a prediction of some unrest in that region,
Mhm.
right? Those are all valid scenarios in today's world,
Right.
right? So, with that business challenge or what we want to solve, business result, what we want to achieve out of it, we bring the discussion to the technology enablement. So how I always put it, I'm coming from a computer science background, enterprise architecture background, and transformation, right? So how I always place it is my business value proposition
Mhm,
overlaid with my business processes,
mhm, mhm,
right? It can be integrated business process. It can be, it's obviously always integrated, right? On top of that, I put my enterprise architecture,
mhm, mhm.
right? And aligned to that, I put my AI architecture, right? So, and that's how what we did, right? This my I want my production to go up, or revenue to go up by X%. For that, my manufacturing need to make 20,000 pieces more per day,
Right.
right? And what are the applications supporting my manufacturing, right? So, okay, this is my application. Okay, the data is consistent out there because that's a horizontal, right? Data infrastructure governance, all those goes horizontal. That's how we structured. And okay, now with that, are we trying to do a workflow, right? Or are we trying to need something like an autograph,
Mhm, mhm.
right? So what are we trying to do? Do you do a crew AI model?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to use. It depends upon that. Now, getting to that, okay, what are the applications we have, or AI agents we have, or we don't have
Mhm,
to
mhm.
run this model? So that was the whole process we took to achieve the, and we're still taking it day to day to achieve the outcomes. So that drives my ROI, right? That's a transparency also for everyone. My CFO wants to know where the money is going and why it's going. So that tells the whole story.
No, very, very interesting point. So you're basically saying that like there is no AI discussion. There's discussion about business problems and business goals and objectives. And AI is a way of achieving some of those. And it might not be. Maybe it is just an old school
Yeah.
workflow. That's also a problem,
Yeah.
right? It could be machine learning, or maybe it could be Gen AI, agentic AI, whatever it is. Like, so you
Yeah.
basically, I think that's a very solid, advice for people listening this podcast, because a lot of times we've seen people come to us because it's just so cool to do something that, hey, we want to use we want to do a knowledge AI solution across the enterprise. There's definitely ROI to doing that, but you need to know why are you doing it, right? Else you've invested a good amount of money, and then 1 year later you really don't know whether you're getting that specific ROI or not, right? So I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the most successful customers that we've seen, they would all start with a business. Hey, I want to reduce IT tickets by 60%. I don't know, like internal enterprise service desks like HR, IT, finance by 50%, right? Things like those are the ones who are the most successful uh, at the end of year one, generally. So I think that makes a ton of sense coming from you, Manish, as well. Um, Coming to specifically understanding the change management process, right? You talked about how people are feeling a little uncertain when we talk about AI doing some parts of the workflow itself. So according to you, you mentioned engaging with the OCM, the organizational change management team, early in the process. But what is it that they're actually doing today for you in any of these initiatives?
A lot. There, I mean, not only me, the whole organization relies on them a lot in this whole process, right? So, first of all, let me tell you, there is a whole misperception that your job will be lost,
Mhm.
right? Rather, once we implement, or as we implement a model, it's it's extremely tough to find the right skill set to support it, right? And we do not want to be tied up with contractors, right? We want the knowledge to stay in house. We want to build this on it. So they not only help from the education perspective, the vision perspective, but also help working with the HR and the training team to upskill my current resources, right? Say, for example, when I implemented AI ops, I still need my networking team to monitor, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The response and recover process is still needed. That's not gone, right? Even it's I automate certain aspect of it. I need that skill set to maintain that flow is happening,
Yeah.
right? So that was one of the key things they drove and still driving, right? Reskilling people, right? If you see the traditional, if I speak about the shop floor level, before it was done by hand. Now we have PLCs. Now we have robots doing it,
Yeah.
right? So is the people involvement gone? No. People are involved now, manage the robots, right? All these things still need people, but different skill set of people,
Yeah.
right? The wheel has been discovered. We don't need anyone to rediscover the wheel. Now we want them to make the aerodynamics of the wheel better or the sustainability of the wheel better, recycle, ESG. What are we going to bring it from that technology, right? So that was one of the key things they are driving and they have drove, and that we can't thank enough, because that decreases the resistance at every level, right? You cannot just whack the whip and get things done. You got to understand. People need to understand and align with the vision, and understand and have the mindset. Okay, this is what I'm trying to achieve. This is my organization is trying to achieve. This is how my organization see me in the whole process, right? So that's the whole thing that was extremely critical. And we learned, as I said, we learned hard way. We failed. We saw resistance. We saw differences, right?
Yeah.
And incorporate certain things. And that's where the organization got a lots of boost. Like people brought in like me, right? I am coming from management consulting worlds. So incorporating change or having a change mindset uh, was one of the key things for me to thrive in that industry before. So, and that I can incorporate, that transferred pretty easily. And they're not only me, there are many people, and there are some people within the organization, they're lifelong Foxconn employee, but they have that kind of awareness and mindset, and that
Yeah.
helps together.
Constant growth and change mindset. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think this has been super clear on what to expect from your change management teams when you are going into AI projects. Or it's kind of very applicable across the board, but more relevant specifically now, given that AI has that, oh, will my job go or not, right? Like part to it. Amazing. Manish, I have one last question, for
Sure.
you. So as someone who's been deeply involved in digital transformation and done AI projects, how do you foresee agentic AI impacting the enterprise landscape in enterprises over the next 3 years?
I think agentic AI is a key aspect for any AI transformation to be successful.
Hmm.
You cannot build everything,
Yep.
right? There has been, and that's what I think we started the discussion with, right? You got to partner with lots of organizations. They are building the tools, right tools,
Yeah.
for you to run the POCs with your data, your scenarios, train the model with your data, right? And see what you can achieve. Another thing is having a framework. Again, don't put agents just like that to achieve it. What's the framework? What are you trying to achieve?
Right.
And then pick the tools right and make them integrate. It's similar like a digital transformation,
Right.
right? The only thing I'll say, the data flow need to be consistent,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? It's not that end of the reconciliation time you found out your data is messed up. Your data is messed up, your everything will be messed up immediately, right?
Absolutely.
The constant, you got to be on top of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That
Bridging
is,
that out.
but it's pretty much same like any digital transformation. It's the same. It's a transformation,
Right.
and I'll not say digital transformation or AI. It's a business transformation enabled by technology. So
Yeah.
same thing.
Very interesting. I think I love the word you're using, like forget digital transformation or AI transformation. Let's just call it, business transformation. And then whatever is useful, whether it's AI or workloads, whatever you got to use that. No, I think this has been super helpful, Manas. I really thoroughly enjoyed our conversation over the last 30 odd minutes. Um, I really thank you for doing this today with us. And I hope to get you again sometime later when you've done more projects, we have more learnings to share. I'd love to have you again and continue our conversation and go down some of these rabbit holes again.
Sounds good. It was a pleasure to speak with you as well, Adit. And thanks for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Take care.